What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 256, and I'm so excited for this card. This card's fantastic. We were supposed to have a 13-fight card, but we lost 3 fights, but we did get one back. We got Tisha Torres and Sam Hughes added, so currently sitting at 11 fights. Hopefully all these fights stay intact. Last week was a disaster, and I even got a takedown last week. It was crazy. So got first place, but the problem was I shared first place with literally a million people. So it actually turned out to be not such a great night, although getting a takedown, which is so crazy to say, but that's what happens when there's only 8 fights on the card. It's not good. Too many ties. I don't like it. Hopefully all the fights stay on this time, and hopefully make some money because this card is very good. The co-main event's fantastic. The main event's fantastic. I think every fight on this card is good, so I'm really looking forward to it. As always, since this is a pay-per-view UFC 256, we're going to be doing some giveaways for my DraftKings contest. To enter it, as always, like this video, number 1. Number 2, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And number 3, comment down your DraftKings username. I think I'm going to limit it to the first, I'll say, 150 people. And after that, sorry, but hopefully you'll be able to get in by then. Usually it fills up like an hour before fight time, so should be plenty of spots left. And just $20 to first, nothing crazy, just something to show. Thanks for all the support, all that good stuff, and just something fun I like to do each and every pay-per-view card. So with that said, we're going to get started here, and we're going to start with, as always, the fight doesn't go to decision props. So the first one here, we have number 1 is Figueredo and Moreno. Minus 265, fight doesn't go to decision. Obviously, if there comes a finish, it's probably going to be on the Figueredo side. I don't really see Moreno being able to finish Figueredo because most of Moreno's wins come by submission, and I don't see Moreno finishing Figueredo, nothing like that. Yeah, I like Figueredo a lot in this fight. He's going to be one of my highest owned fighters. Honestly, not going to be too much Moreno there, but definitely a fight you want to target. I would say from both sides, but me personally, I'm more so on the Figueredo side. I'm not all that too interested in playing Moreno because Figueredo's been on a tear, and we'll talk about it more, but I really do like Figueredo in this fight. Next, we have minus 240. Fight doesn't go to decision. We have Dos Santos versus Gane. And yeah, this is basically a fade on the Dos Santos chin at this point. Like, I've been making a lot of money fading his chin. Rosenstruck last time had a ton of Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck was able to knock him out in that second round. And yeah, I mean, Gane's not some type of murderous power puncher, but I really don't think it takes much at this point. And really, for me, it's probably more so to the Gane side in this fight. Minus 240. Usually in a heavyweight fight, you want to play both sides, but man, it's really hard to see Gane losing this fight. And yeah, he probably gets to finish, and we'll talk about it more. But yeah, I think Gane's a fine play at 9,200. Now this fight is something I do on both sides on. Minus 205, fight doesn't go to decision. Charles Oliveira versus Tony Ferguson, in my opinion, the best fight on the card. These guys are definitely going to go at it. I think the winner is going to score very, very well. And I don't know, it's a really tough fight to call. Oliveira has been on a decent winning streak, and Ferguson was on a huge winning streak. I think it was 11 or 12 fight winning streak until he got finished by Justin Gaethje. No shame in that. Man, so if Oliveira is able to get Ferguson down, he could have some success. As we know, he is a absolute monster on the mat. On the feet, I'm gonna favor Ferguson. I think he's going to be throwing the more output. I think he's the better striker, but this fight could play out close. I think Oliveira has a chance to get an early finish here, but if not, I really do worry about his cardio, and Tony Ferguson's the guy that, he can just keep on pushing, and he can break guys, and we've seen Oliveira break many times before. He's been finished a ton. And just taking a look at some of the stats here, Oliveira has been finished 6 of his 7 losses, so I can see if Ferguson wins, it's probably going to be inside the distance, probably second or third round. If Oliveira wins, it's probably early. We have seen Ferguson knocked out once before against Justin Gaethje. Oliveira, 94% finish rate, 94%. So this fight probably finishes one way or another, but I do want one side of this fight. I think either guy that wins it can definitely score well, especially at the price ranges of 8,600 and 7,600. And then finally, we have Chase Hooper versus Peter Barrett. Yeah, not going to have much of this fight, honestly, minus 195. I think Cooper probably is going to win by the submission, but man, it's hard to pay 9,300 for somebody who's just so one-dimensional. It's kind of like the Jordan Levitt fight last week. I had really, really underweight to Jordan Levitt. It worked out fantastic because the dude scored 95 DraftKings points, did not find the optimal. And I can kind of see the same thing happening here. I don't know. If Hooper does not get the takedown, I do think he can actually be in some big trouble in this fight, but he's probably going to get the takedown. He's probably going to find the submission, but 9,300 is not really all that intriguing price in my opinion, so not going to have much of this fight in general. But I think Cooper's an okay play, but there are other options I like better. I like targeting the 8K range a lot better this week as well, so we'll talk about it. Getting into the core plays, we have Davis and Figueiredo, number 1. I like Figueiredo here a lot. I like this matchup for him. I like the matchup that anybody's going to bring. I don't see this dude losing for a decent amount of time. I don't see anybody stopping him anytime soon here. And Moreno's fight style is going to play right into Figueiredo's game. I mean, Moreno's somebody that does get hit a decent amount, and Figueiredo hits you, you're going to probably go down. I know Moreno is very, very tough. Moreno has never been knocked out. He's never been submitted officially, but he was submitted in 2016. I think it was on The Ultimate Fighter by Pantoja. But other than that, he's been durable. 21 fights, not been knocked out, not been submitted, so props to him for that. But man, Figueiredo is a different animal. If Moreno wants to come out here and try to get takedowns, which he does a lot in his fights, he's playing with fire. We saw last time, and I called it. Perez shot for a takedown right away, submitted. And I don't know if that's going to happen necessarily, but same thing. Like, he's going to be playing into Figueiredo's game plan. I think Figueiredo has more paths to victory here, whether it is a knockout, whether it is a submission. And I just think he's going to be landing the harder shots as well. And I do see him finishing Moreno also. So if Moreno wins, it's probably going to be some type of... He's got to weather the early storm and all that from Figueiredo, but it's just really hard to pick against Figueiredo right now. The dude's been so dominant, and I'm definitely not picking against him. I'm going to have a ton of Figueiredo. Definitely over 50%. Not going to go all in or nothing, but maybe like 60%, 65%, something like that, around the 60% range. And of course, he is low volume. Do got to talk about that. So if he does not get the first round finish or the second round finish, if it gets extended past the second round and he does get a finish later in the fight, he could maybe not be on the optimal lineup, but it's really hard to see him not being on the optimal lineup. I mean, I do think he finishes is probably early. And yeah, so give me Davis and Figueiredo at 9,000. I like it a lot. Tony Ferguson, 8,600. Like I said, you want the winner of this fight. It's really hard to see this fight not being optimal with styles of both guys. Oliveira has been finished in 6 of his 7 losses. Oliveira has a 95% finish rate. And yeah, if Ferguson wins, it's probably going to be some type of finish. So taking a look at Ferguson's scores in the past, Cerrone 122, 127 against Pettis, 130 against Dos Anjos, 103, 104, 104. So when he wins, he scores very, very well, and I definitely see that happening here. Just because of how much volume he throws. And we have seen Oliveira knocked out before. We have seen Oliveira submitted before as well. So I love Ferguson in this spot. It could be a good fight. It could be definitely a good fight. It's just hard to see this fight not scoring well. So I do think you want a piece of this fight for sure, especially in this 8,600, 7,600 matchup. It's really hard to see this not being optimal just with the pace Tony Ferguson brings and the style of both fighters in general. So yeah, I like Ferguson a lot. Next one, we have Daniel Pineda here, 8,300. So what I like about this play is Daniel Pineda has a 100% finish rate, and it's not like he has like 10 wins, 15 wins, not even 20 wins. The dude has 27 wins, and he's won all of them inside the distance, which is honestly, it's stunning, really. So 33% wins by knockout, 67% wins by submission for a 100% submission rate. We all know about Cub Swanson. The dude gets in a lot of bad spots on the mat. He's been submitted 6 times. He's been knocked out once as well. So Swanson's been finished 7 times, and Pineda's a finisher. So Swanson is coming off of a little bit of a layoff. He's coming off of an injury as well, a red flag. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, his last win being to Kron Gracie. Someone who's extremely one-dimensional. Obviously, he was able to win the striking affair with him. Gracie was not able to get the fight to the mat like a lot of people expected, and yeah, Swanson was able to tee off on him. This is not Kron Gracie. I think that Pineda has improved his striking so much. I mean, this is someone who used to be in the UFC in like 2013, 2014. Did not have the best UFC run in the world. Left the UFC, came back against Herbert Burns, looked fantastic. A lot of people were counting him out in that fight, including me, and he just looked great. He was taking down Herbert Burns. His ground and pound's good. His ground game is good. And watching tape before the UFC, before he came back a second time, the dude's improved a lot. I mean, his striking's gotten a lot better. He's very accurate with his punches. He throws a lot of volume. He's dangerous, and that's what I like, especially at 8,300. If he has a 100% finish rate, it's really hard to ignore that. So for that reason, he's definitely a core play of mine, and I really like Pineda at that 8,300 price. I think Cub Swanson, 37 years old, is on his way out. And I think Pineda, honestly, at 35 years old, I know it's crazy to say at 35 years old, but I think that he is in his prime right now. This is honestly the best we've ever seen him. So Going to be all over Pineda here at 8,300. Billy Quarantillo, 8,500, another play I really like. So I really want to target this 8K range this week. The 8K range is looking really good. So Billy Quarantillo in his 3 wins against Spike Carlisle, which was a really tough matchup back and forth, only scored 76 DraftKings points, but against Nelson he scored 105, against Kilburn he scored 139. And yeah, 139, like that's some of the ceiling he has in all his fights, just based off of the amount of output that he throws. He throws a ton of output each and every fight. He lands 7.5 setting-figure strikes per minute, 71% accuracy as well. And Gavin Tucker, I think he's a good fighter, but man, I really like Billy here. He's going to have a 4-inch height and reach advantage. Watching tape on Gavin Tucker, especially in the Rick Glenn fight, like the dude was taken down 4 times. He got dropped in the Glenn fight as well. He got hurt really bad in the James fight. James almost finished him as well. And if James had any type of cardio, he probably could have won that fight. But James definitely gassed out there. Billy's not going to gas out here. And yeah, this probably goes to decision. But even then, like, Billy's going to put on such a pace, probably get takedowns as well. If Rick Glenn's taking you down 4 times, I think that Billy Q can definitely take you down. So Billy Q all over him here. Will I have some Gavin Tucker? Sure. But man, really like Billy Q in the spot, and I think he has a really high ceiling, even without a finish, but maybe he can get like a 3rd-round finish. I do think that's possible. Getting into our GBP plays here, our tournament plays, and we have Kevin Holland at 8,200. So, man, this is such a tough fight to call, and I'm really struggling going back and forth, even picking a winner, but I do know I want this on DraftKings. Kevin Holland, 8,200. Last time he was 8,200 against, I think it was Charlie Ontiveros. He scored 109 DraftKings points. It was kind of a weird verbal submission. He got a takedown. And then before that, beat Darren Stewart in a pretty close fight where, not a good look, especially for this matchup here where Stewart was able to take him down a couple times, land some ground and pound. Before that, beat Buckley, knocked him out in I think it was the 3rd round, scored a 105. And then 8,200 against Alexander Hernandez, and he scored 107. So at 8,200 at price tag, he's averaging 108.5 DraftKings points. So, I mean, this is the salary he usually goes off on, which is something crazy to think about. But, man, I don't know. I think he has upside. I think that Souza is, 40 years old, about to be 41. Very slow, not much volume. Obviously, Holland's going to have a huge striking advantage, a huge one. And he can even maybe knock out Souza. I don't think Holland has the most power in the world, but the volume could accumulate and maybe get a finish there. Souza has been knocked out twice. But, man, what I worry about is if Souza does take down Holland, I think Holland can be in so much trouble. And we've seen Holland taken down a ton. Holland has like a 50% takedown defense. And we haven't seen Souza go to his wrestling all that much, but that's just because of the guys he's been facing, like Jan Blachowicz, Jack Hermanson, guys like that. And I don't know. I like this fight a lot. I'm probably going to be near, I want to say like 90% in this fight, just because of the price, just because of, I think there's a lot of upside with it. But I'm not like going to go all in on Kevin Holland here, just because if he gets taken down, I'm going to be sweating a ton. I want both sides here. It's probably going to be kind of even in the ownership, honestly. I think Holland's going to be one of the higher owned exposure plays or the highest owned plays on the slate. And but I will have some Souza as well. Cyril Gane at 9,200. Basically a fade on the JDS chin, and Gane is actually a really, really good fighter. He's going to have his 6-inch reach advantage. He's going to throw a lot of output. Like I mentioned, he doesn't have murderous power puncher, but it really doesn't need much at this point for him to knock out Junior Dos Santos. Dos Santos has been knocked out, 3 times in a row. It's probably going to be the 4th here, and definitely somebody you want to look at. I do think he has the upside to definitely knock him out here. And so give me Cyril Gane to get it done. Probably see this playing out on the feet most of the time, but if Gane does not get the 1st-round knockout, it could maybe not so be optimal, but he's probably going to knock him out, honestly. Maybe get a knockdown, maybe a couple knockdowns. And as for JDS, don't really want nothing to do with it. Hard to see him winning this fight. 36 years old, definitely on his way out at this point. So I will be playing some Gane as a tournament play there. Rafael Fiziev, 8,400. Very interesting play here. I do think this play is going to go a little bit under-owned here, just because people are going to look at Fiziev and look at his box score. I mean, the dude scored 83 against Diakese. He scored 68 against White. He got knocked out by Mustafayev, scoring 1 DraftKings point. People are going to look at that and want nothing to do with it, which is great here, because I do see this fight probably has a good chance of finishing, and I'll tell you why. So Fiziev, The dude hits hard. We haven't seen it yet in the UFC. Well, we've seen it, but we haven't seen a knockout come out of it yet in the UFC, and I think this could be the spot where he gets a knockout. So Moreno, in his 3 losses, he's been finishing all 3 of them, which is extremely important to note. So he's never lost by decision. Moreno's been knocked out twice, and he's been submitted once as well. Fiziev, like I said, we haven't seen that finish in the UFC, but he has a 63% knockout rate, 13% submission rate for a 76% finish rate overall. So the dude is a decent finisher, and Moreno has been finished in all 3 of his losses. So something to think about. People are going to be looking at the box score. I do think Fiziev's going to come in under-owned here, so I like it a lot. I like Fiziev as a nice tournament play there. As for Moreno, talked about it a little bit, but I do like Moreno as well. Sergey Spivak, 8,800 coming in against Jared Vanderaa. And I think Spivak's the much better fighter here. I think that he can get takedowns if he wants to. Very good wrestler. We've seen it in his past couple fights. Vanderaa, not all that impressive at all. Very low volume, very slow. Spivak should honestly have a field day with this guy, honestly. So, can he get the finish? Probably. We've seen Vanderaa finish twice before, twice by submission. And if Spivak is able to get him down, I think he can definitely land some ground and pound, maybe sub him. So I think Spivak at 8,800 is definitely a good play, definitely something I'm looking at, basically because it's a heavyweight fight. But we have seen as of late, like these heavyweight fights have been scoring very low, maybe outside of Jake Collier was on the optimal lineup last week. But yeah, these heavyweight fights have been very, very ugly as of late. The Parker Porter fight comes to mind, fights like that. So just be aware a little bit, because if he does not get the finish, this could be like a really slow, boring stand-up fight, but hopefully he goes out there and gets takedowns, because I do think he can. The live dogs, and we have Charles Oliveira. Talked about it a little bit. If he's able to, I don't know, it's hard to see him beating Ferguson, honestly, but if he's able to get the takedown, maybe he can find a submission, and he has improved his striking a lot, but I do got to favor Ferguson with the striking. But he's a dangerous dude. He's finished 94% of his wins. Kind of a killer be killed fighter. I mean, he's went to decision, I think, like twice or maybe 3 times, so doesn't see the scorecard as much. And at 7,600, if he wins, it's going to probably be by finish. Maybe all the damage accumulated throughout Ferguson's career, and especially the Gaethje fight, maybe that's going to catch up to Ferguson here. I don't know if Oliveira has been on a tear as of late, so definitely something you want to look at for sure. I do think he's live, and yeah, if he wins, it's going to be optimal. So I'm going to have a decent amount of this fight in general, probably like near 100% owned in this fight. Renato Moicano here, 7,800. So if he can get a takedown in this fight, I think he can probably find a submission. The dude's ground game is legit. But I don't know. Fiziev has a 100% takedown defense. Very good takedown defense. And when this is striking, I do think it's going to be semi-close. And what I like about Moicano is he's a very dangerous guy himself, but he's finished 0% of his wins by knockout and 50% by submission. So like I said, if he gets us to the mat, he can find a sub, but it's going to be easier said than done. So we never know, but this could touch the mat for sure. I'm definitely leaning on the Fiziev side, but I will have some Moicano as well. Moicano is a really good fighter. I actually really like the guy a lot. I think the striking could be semi-close, but you got to favor Fiziev. And like I said, if Moicano can get the fight to the mat, he can have some success, but don't really see it happening personally, but it can. And at that price of 7,800, if he can't find a finish, it could be optimal for sure. 8,000, Ronaldo Souza. Yeah, like I said, if he's able to get Holland down, if he's able to take him down and probably going to get a submission. I mean, Darren Stewart was able to take down Holland, land some nice ground and pound, took him down a couple times as well. Gerald Meerschaert was able to have some success with Holland on the mat. And I don't know, Holland has some really bad IQ. It's really hard to trust him here. And Souza hasn't went to his wrestling as of late, but he has some wrestling in the past. He's averaging 2.5 takedowns per 50 minutes. Honestly, if he takes down Holland even once, I will be kind of sweating, especially have a lot of Holland shares, but I will be having some Souza as well. I think that he's extremely live here. I know he's 40 years old, about to be 41, but this is a big step up in competition for Kevin Holland, a huge step up in competition. This could be like the biggest step up in competition in UFC history, going from Charlie Ontiveros to Renato Jacare Souza. Just a big step up for Holland, man. So Brendan Allen was able to submit Holland. Holland was submitted earlier in his career as well. He's been submitted twice. So if Souza gets on top of Holland, it could be over. So I'm definitely splitting my exposure on this fight. I do want ownership to it. And probably, like I said, near like 100%, like 90% own on this fight. Hard to see it not being optimal just for the price and because I think there could possibly be a finish in this fight, whether it is a Holland knockout or a Souza submission. And then finally, Joanna Jandiroba, 7,500. Yeah, I think it's kind of. I think this should be like an 8,200, 8,000 matchup. I know Mackenzie Dern. Everybody likes Mackenzie Dern, but she has like a 7% takedown accuracy. She's averaging like 0.3 takedowns per 50 minutes, and I don't know. It's hard to see. It's hard to see Dern taking down Jandiroba. I mean, it's not going to happen. When Dern wins, it's like her opponents are making mistakes. Like Hannah Cifers was like followed her to the mat. She got on top. Reina Marcos in just her last fight. Dern slipped and Marcos went on the ground with Dern and just stuff like that. So Jandiroba is obviously, she could go to the mat with Dern, and even then, like Jandiroba's grappling is legit. Obviously, you got to favor Dern a little bit, but it's hard to see Dern like taking down Jandiroba or anything like that. If anything, it's going to be Jandiroba taking down Dern. So as long as she can stay on top and stay safe, I do think she can score some here at 7,500, or this can just be a striking fight. Jandiroba can have the option to keep this on the feet and just strike with Dern for 15 minutes. I think that could be an option, but at that point, it probably wouldn't score well. And yeah, I think it's a close fight. I think Jandiroba's definitely live. I think she can definitely win, and for that reason, she is a live dog play. But not in love with that fight, really, in general. But it should be just a nice underdog play there at 7,500. Pump plays Pete Barrett. So if he can stop the takedowns of Chase Hooper, I think he's extremely live because of how one-dimensional Chase Hooper is. I know Hooper's working on his striking, but it's still really not there. We saw him get like dominated by Alex Caceres in his last fight, just with Alex Caceres being able to stuff the takedowns. I don't expect Barrett to stuff the takedowns here. I do think Hooper's probably going to get him down. I think he's probably going to submit him, but 6,900, if he is somehow able to stuff the takedown, yeah, I think he's extremely live here. Hooper is still extremely green, 21 years old. Peter's going to have a ton more experience. I think Peter Barrett is like 30. Yeah, he's 34 years old, so he's going to be 13 years older. So just a pump play. Not going to go like all in on it or anything, but I do think it's something to mention. Fade's going to be Mackenzie Dern. I mean, she's not going to throw much output. She's not going to get takedowns. Maybe she can get some reversals, but it's really hard to see her scoring well. And plus, she's going to be chalk. A lot of people are going to play Mackenzie Dern. They're going to look at the box scores, see that she's been submitting people like Reina Marcos and Hannah Cifers. But, Joanna Jandiroba is neither Hannah Cifers or Reina Marcos. So, yeah, I do think this is going to be a very tough fight for Mackenzie Dern. The fact that she's 8,700 just really turns me off there. So, yeah, definitely not going to be having much Dern. I'll have some, but like not going to go crazy on it. I'm going to have like very, very little. And that's about it, guys. Make sure you sign up on the Patreon. Had like 50 people sign up last week. Thank you so much for that. It allows me to do this full time. Anything helps, it really does. And with access to my Patreon, there's a bunch of different tiers you can go to. There's a betting tier. I open up a betting and DFS tier as well. I open up an all sports tier. So just lots of options to choose from. Very, very affordable $10 for the MMA Premium, which is the most popular for DFS here. And with that, you get full access to my model, my premium projections, my GPP lineup percentages, my DraftKings article that comes out Friday night, access to Discord, and more. So check that out. The link will be in the description below. And don't forget to comment down your DraftKings username. Going to be doing that contest. Like I said, I'm going to be limiting it to like 150 people around there. So make sure you get in. And any questions, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram, DFS by the numbers. My DMs are always open. And other than that, good luck. Hopefully this card stays intact. Last week was a crapshoot with only 8 fights. Like I said, I was able to get a takedown, but wasn't able to win much because of like a 200 weight tie. So, that's about it. And good luck, guys.